Now, before this video gets started, I just want to show you guys my exclusive IMAX Rise of Skywalker poster that I got, and I'm the only one who has it in the entire world because I went to the exclusive screen. I'm just kidding, guys. I didn't go to any exclusive screening. They're not going to invite a guy like me to one of those things, right? Anyways, all joking aside, my name is Brandon, aka the BrandoCritic, and welcome to my Star Wars tier list. Now, I just saw episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, about 2 days ago, and I have my review up for that on this channel already, but I wanted to do kind of like a laid-back video. I like doing these kind of laid-back videos. It allows me just to chill and have some fun with you guys, right? And check out this new mug that I got for Christmas. But now that I've seen the final Star Wars movie, I wanted to talk about the entire franchise as a whole, because, like I've said in many other videos, now knowing the final chapter, this entire saga has a new context. So keep in mind that this ranking of all the Star Wars movies is based on the fact that I watched Phantom Menace all the way up to The Last Jedi, and then I watched Rise of Skywalker. So now knowing the final chapter, me going back and watching all of them again, this ranking can totally change, but as for right now, this is the ranking I'm going with. And if you guys don't know what a tier list is, basically I'm going to be talking about every single Star Wars movie that has come out. Live action, I'm not going to talk about the Clone Wars or the Rebels TV show or anything like that, or the Mandalorian TV show. This is just the live action movies, and then put them into certain tiers based on love, really like, it's okay, and not for me. And then I'm going to be talking about each movie just very, very quickly. I have reviews for every single one of these movies. This is more of a laid-back approach, and it is kind of fun to do these things. I've done one before with the Terminator. Sit back, relax, get some popcorn, and yes, this is my other exclusive. I got this at Cineplex in Canada, and let's go. So starting off, we have Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, released in 1999. I will be going chronological with this ranking, so I'm going to put that in the It's Okay tier. Now, for some reason, I have a real soft spot for The Phantom Menace. I think just because when I was a kid, I was just really enthralled with the worlds and just like the gloss of The Phantom Menace. You know, I love the Naboo starfighters, I love the pod race, I love Darth Maul, I love the planet of Naboo, like the Theed Palace. I just loved everything about this movie. Just the surface level stuff. But looking back on it now, it gets the core elements of Star Wars wrong, right? When you're watching the original Star Wars, you feel excited, you have a rush of imagination, you feel this adventure with these great characters. In The Phantom Menace, we have Qui-Gon Jinn, who's charismatic because he's Liam Neeson. You know, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Queen Amidala, Anakin, Jar Jar. Like, those characters are not charismatic, they're not fun, they don't work well together, they're not particularly interesting. I mean, Jar Jar's quite annoying, and it goes with the real political route. Now, as an adult, I can watch this movie and understand what George Lucas was trying to do with the whole political conspiracy stuff, but when you're watching a Star Wars movie and a movie that's aimed for children, it just felt like a really big disconnect. And even watching it today, I'm like, yeah, this movie is not the most entertaining. So I'm putting The Phantom Menace in It's Okay. Moving on to Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, I'm putting that one in Not for me. This is by far my least favorite Star Wars movie. So that's a spoiler for the ranking that will be coming at the end of the tier list. Simply put, this movie did not give me any emotional impact whatsoever. I mean, you go through every single major moment in the story, you know, and Count Dooku and Obi-Wan Kenobi are talking about, you know, there's a Sith Lord overlooking everything. You don't feel anything. The romance between Anakin and Padme, you don't feel anything. When Obi-Wan discovers the clone army, it looks cool, but you don't feel anything. Simply put, this movie has no emotional weight to it whatsoever. The closest it got was when Anakin's mother died. That's about it. Now we get to what most people consider the best out of the 3 prequels, with Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and I'm going to put that into the really like category. If my computer will load, there it goes. I really enjoyed Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, because it feels like the characters were moving the story forward, as opposed to the story was just moving forward and the characters were just along for the ride, right? Character decisions had weight to the story. You know, the action had stakes and you felt something. Order 66, that scene is just so well done, and every single moment in this movie, it felt like it needed to be there. Minus some of the General Grievous stuff, but again, that's just my opinion, and I know a lot of people really love him. But this movie, it felt like Star Wars had finally given us an emotionally moving story. And apart from some cheesy lines with Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman again, and just some lazy filmmaking techniques, this movie would have been amazing. but again, it does still have that prequel vibe, but it still is a really good movie. So now we get to the first Star Wars spin-off movie, and now here's the thing about Solo: A Star Wars Story. And I consider this a movie, like I don't have a title for this yet, where it's like you watch it once, you don't like it. So then when you watch it again, you have low expectations, and then you watch it and you're like, oh, you know what, that wasn't actually that bad. I actually like this movie. And then when you watch it again, you're like, you know what, this movie isn't that bad. Oh, actually, maybe it is. So you keep flip-flopping back and forth. So as for right now, I'm going to put Solo: A Star Wars Story in It's Okay. And if my computer will load, there it goes. We good, right? All right, Solo: A Star Wars Story, It's Okay, right? Alden Ehrenreich and Chewbacca. Those two characters together. Alden Ehrenreich playing Han Solo and Chewbacca. Those two characters, best part of the movie. Hands down. And Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian and Woody Harrelson as Beckett. You know, those characters work as well. They got the characters down. The action scenes were pretty exciting. But it just looks so damn ugly. Like this film, I was squinting like, what am I looking at? And it's an ugly looking movie. And the story, it's just kind of nah. It's just kind of boring. And the Emilia Clarke, I mean, I like her as a person, as an actress. I've seen some movies with her in it where she does a good job, and then where she's just she can be played by anybody. In this movie, she's just, meh. And Dryden Voss as the bad guy, I don't know. This story just seems very mediocre. Great characters, fun action, ugly cinematography, and just kind of a boring, mediocre story. So it's okay. You watch it once, you enjoy it. You watch it again, you're like, It depends on when you watch it. Okay, so now this is where it gets really controversial. And based on every other Star Wars ranking I've ever seen, the placement of this movie gets the most criticism in every single ranking I've seen. Star Wars, or Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. Here we go. You ready for it? I'm putting it in It's Okay. And I get it. A lot of Star Wars fans love this movie. But to me, it's like Star Wars porn. You know, you have like the big spectacle, right? You got the Death Star, you got the AT-AT walkers, and you got all the action in the world. And the final battle, in terms of the action, it's really well executed. It's really well done. And it was exciting. But watching it again, you really want to have that emotional connection with the characters and the story. And this movie just feels like a drama facade. And again, I'm using a lot of quotes from Red Letter Media, but I do agree with a lot of what they're saying. This movie is very hollow. Very shiny exterior. Like, the cinematography in this movie is excellent. I wish that, you know, more of the sequel movies looked like Rogue One in terms of its cinematography and the feel and the production design. It's great. The characters, I'm sorry, but Jyn Erso is a terrible main character. Cassian Andor had promise, and then just like everyone else is just so bland and boring and drab. The story is clunky. All the Star Wars stuff, you know, seeing the X-Wings and you see like, I copy gold leader, we're starting for the target shaft now. It's like, oh, that's so awesome. But again, there's no story to it. And I know this is the one movie that I'm going to get the most shit for in the comment section, but you know what? This is my honest opinion. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think Rogue One is okay. Because, again, from Red Letter Media, if you take away all the Star Wars stuff, this movie would be terrible. But since that it has all the Star Wars stuff, it is enjoyable somewhat. Now the next movie, Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope, the beginning of the original trilogy and the very first Star Wars movie ever made, is the definition of movie magic. I'm going to be putting that, oh man, it's always when you ever notice that when you want to show something to someone on YouTube, that's when your Wi-Fi stops working, or that's when your computer goes through glitches? It's like whenever I do one of these videos, that's when all these problems keep happening. I love this movie. You literally go through every single element of the filmmaking process, and this movie does an amazing job. You know, go through all those things, like the cinematography is good, the sound editing, all that stuff, the story, and the characters, and the emotion. It's just so simple that it is so effective and it works. You have a mixture of almost every single genre in this movie. You have action, it's a Western, it's a fantasy, it's a sci-fi, it's a comedy, it's a drama, all of it together, and the characters are just so well written. The story is so great, and the emotion. Man, I do not think I get more of an emotional rush than watching Star Wars. This movie, to me, is perfect. Now, how the hell do you follow that up? Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, I'm putting that one in I love it as well. And I might like the first Star Wars movie, A New Hope, better than this one, just personal preference, just because it's like, is where it all started, right? That's just my subjective brain, but my objective brain says that, yeah, The Empire Strikes Back is probably a better movie because it pushed the characters forward, right? The emotional stakes got bigger. The sets got bigger. The special effects got better. The characters got deeper and added a lot more emotional weight to the story. The story was more rich. Everything about this movie just pushed the boundaries. And again, it is just so amazing, magnificent, brilliant, wonderful, any word you want to use. It is another perfect movie. You guys with me so far? That's good. Now for Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. I gotta be honest with you guys, I'm putting this one in love as well. And I understand that this movie does have some problems, right? It is a little bit tonally all over the place. You have the Ewoks and you have the Chewbacca Tarzan yell, and then you have the Emperor. And again, tonally, it's a bit disjointed. But as for a satisfying ending, it's got it where it counts. Luke versus Darth Vader, the assault on the Death Star, and yes, the Ewok battle, while silly, it still is a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm an original trilogy fanboy. I love all three of the movies. And yes, I do understand that The Return of the Jedi has problems, but I do love it. And now we get into our Disney movies with Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. I was so hyped for this movie, and I'm actually very surprised that it actually lived up to the hype because I love this movie. And like Return of the Jedi, I understand that it has problems. The story feels extremely recycled, and I know people have talked to death about this stuff, but what I really love about this movie are the characters. The characters have charisma, they have charm, they have spunk, and the action sequences are fun, right? And a big portion of that is because we like the characters. And the story, while recycled, we do get emotionally invested because we like the characters. It all comes down to characters. If we like the characters, then we like the movie. And even Han Solo, with a clunky story and just ugly cinematography, I can still watch that movie because I like Alden Ehrenreich in that role. I like Han Solo, I like Chewbacca, I like Beckett, I like Lando. That's why I can watch this movie again and go, the story's just kind of whatever, but I like these characters. And The Force Awakens has wonderful characters. Now, this is another controversial one. Again, this movie is very, very split. The next two movies I find are very, very split as well. Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. I'm going to put it in It's Okay. And again, this is why these movies, it's very hard to judge them when you first see them. So that's why I'm saying that, I just watched Rise of Skywalker 2 days ago, and I'm putting it into this tier list. I loved The Last Jedi when I saw it for the first time. And then through more viewings, the subverting expectations thing, it lost its novelty. And you're like, okay, while I like the Luke, Kylo Ren, Rey, Snoke storyline, I really like that stuff. The Finn and Rose stuff, and Poe and Admiral Holdo, it's really distracting, really boring. I want to get to this. I do not care about any of this crap over here. So again, it's a very disjointed movie. Really great, terrible. Put those together, it's okay. And now we get to the final chapter, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. And for right now, I'm going to put, here we go, mouse, there we go. You can do it. There it is. Like. Rise of Skywalker, I liked it. There are some major problems with it. And again, over the last 2 days while thinking about this movie, because I wanted to try to put this into a definitive ranking, I'm like, yeah, that didn't really make sense. Going back, okay, that one makes sense. But I like that part. I like that part too. This movie isn't that bad. But then there's this part. This movie's not that good. And this is the problem with going back and doing damage control in a movie. And I just posted my non-spoiler review for Rise of Skywalker, and I might as well talk about Rey being a Palpatine. I have no problem that Rey is the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine. It does do a giant overarching tie for the story. However, in none of the movies was there any indication that Emperor Palpatine had a son. It was a son, right? A son or a daughter, and then they had a kid of their own that was super force sensitive. And now watching those other movies, you're thinking, okay, when would Palpatine be married? When would Palpatine have a kid? When would Palpatine have all this stuff? And then, now that he has created Snoke, and Snoke's just like, she resisted you? And he's just so bewildered that Rey, resisted Kylo Ren. Does he not know about Rey with a Palpatine, and then if Palpatine's, like holding the strings the whole time, wouldn't he know about that? And then wouldn't he come back? Again, watching these movies again will give a completely different context. So I like some parts in this movie. I like the fact that Rey was a Palpatine, even though they had no reason for it and they had no way to tell, and it was not set up at all. That just shows you that this trilogy had no direction. It was just going boom, 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 boom. It kind of stuck the landing. It was messy, but I say it ended it on a positive note. And again, like The Last Jedi, Rey and Kylo Ren, great. Zori Bliss, great. Jannah, forget about her. Finn, is Finn Force sensitive now? I don't know about that. Just personally, I don't think I like that. Seeing Han Solo again, great. Hearing all those voices when Rey's like, be with me, and you hear like Anakin and Mace Windu and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and a lot of those characters from like Star Wars Rebels and stuff, that stuff's really great. As an overall story of how it was told, going to planet to planet to planet, this whole scavenger hunt thing, it just seemed really messy. And I started to get kind of bored with it. And you know what? When like Rey and Finn and Poe are going on those like speeder things through Pisana, I feel like I should have been excited, but I'm like, I don't really feel anything right now. And that's a problem. But I really did feel the emotional impact at the end with Kylo and Rey and Emperor Palpatine. That stuff was great. So as for now, I'm going to give The Rise of Skywalker a 3 out of 5, aka I liked it. So here is my definitive ranking of the Star Wars movies. Number 11, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Number 10, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Even though, personally, subjectively, I can really enjoy that movie just because that was like one of the first Star Wars movies that I really connected with. I was really young, right? I was born in 95, so this movie came out when I was 4. I really connected with that movie, but objectively, yeah, it would be number 10. Number 9, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Number 8, Solo, A Star Wars Story. And I know a lot of Star Wars fans are just blowing their brains out right now by me saying that. Number 7, Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Number 6, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. As of right now, who knows down the line with repeat viewings? Again, this list is subject to change, guys. Number 5, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Number 4, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Number 3, Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. And again, this is where subjectivity and objectivity kind of goes subjectivity will go above this one. Number 2, Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. I get it. Yeah, my film school brain's telling me, Brandon, that's a better movie. But I just have more of an emotional connection, and I love this movie so much. Number 1, the original, where it all began, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. That is my Star Wars list. Anyways, guys, I am Star Wars'd out. I need a break. I've watched all these movies again, leading up to Rise of Skywalker. I was anticipating this movie so much. Was it disappointing? Yeah. Did I like it still? Yeah. Was it a satisfactory ending? Right now, I'm going to say yes. But in reality, and I said this in my Rise of Skywalker review, I think the true Star Wars story is Episodes 4 to Episode 6, the original trilogy. In terms of my childhood, it's from Phantom Menace to Return of the Jedi, and the entire saga, I am okay with it. Episode 1, Phantom Menace, to Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. Anyways, guys, I'm curious to hear what you guys think. What is your definitive ranking of the Star Wars movies? Let me know down in the comment section down below. And I'm done talking about Star Wars for a while. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. May the Force be with you, and have a happy new year. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.